The posture we were in is that Councilman Claunch had moved to consider an amendment. The question was asked whether it was a proper amendment. The chair ruled it was. Is there a challenge to the chair? Okay, no challenge to the chair. Councilman Claunch, any further discussion about your amendment?
I do not believe so, sir.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Yeah, I'm just going to make it quick that we're talking about cutting this in half because of 6 months. However, not all of this was directed just for the running of 6 months. There's other things that are involved, including building repairs, equipment purchasing. So cutting this doesn't just cut it to 6 months. It's actually could be potentially cutting it further than that, or it's going to have to try and come from somewhere else in the budget. So you can't just look at it that we're going to cut it in half because half doesn't specifically work. There's software in there. There's a lot of different things that are associated with it that are still going to have to be purchased.
Councilman Lovato?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I agree with everything that the councilman from Ward 10 said. I understand what you're trying to do, but these numbers aren't mathing. I do wonder if there is a way, Mayor, to set up a separate fund specifically for the center so that all of this money will be available to Parks and Rec when the time comes.
Well, provided we pass the budget on second reading, the money will be available to Parks and Recreation. It will be set aside specifically for this purpose.
Okay. The last thing that I want to say is really just a personal note. Members from the Senior Center are still reaching out to us, whether they approve or oppose the decisions that this council is making. We need to choose our words to them carefully because regardless of the side that they are on, they are still citizens of our city. I'm not sure which council member recently told an elderly lady to just get over it, but that is highly inappropriate and I do not approve of that kind of message. That's all.
Councilman Streetman?
I strongly support what the councilperson from Ward 12 just said, and also want to remind everyone, and it's right in along with that, that, you know, this battle, this back and forth, this closing down, because I think something said about it still being open, there's a sign up that says they're temporarily closed. So the seniors are the ones that are suffering through this. I mean, we are where we are. The lease was terminated. They're the ones that are being punished because the process is not moving forward. This money is in the budget to be able to get the senior center back open, to get the families back into, or the individuals back into the adult day center, for them to be able to go there. They're, like I said, they're being punished through this whole process. Decisions have been made. Everything needs to be able to move forward so that Parks and Rec can get in there and get this center back open and get our senior citizens back in there, spending time with their friends and not continuing to have to deal with additional stress, drama, everything that's been going on. I'm just ready to get this process moving and done and allow them back to their center, because when it's all said and done, it's theirs. It's the seniors, for them to be able to go in there regardless of this battle. So I ask that we vote this down and ask that please remember who this center is for. And I'm not necessarily speaking to just the council members here. I'm speaking to everybody involved.
Councilman Claunch, closing remarks about your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this wasn't malice intent. There's a large group in the middle that is suffering. Absolutely. And it was just an attempt, if we're to stalemate with what's happening, to remove those funds. I would also say that absolutely everybody needs to be heard, and that is imperative. There is an event, and I won't speak any more about it than that I'm excited about, that I talked to an individual in this room before this that is in support of the seniors this weekend, that I was invited to by the other side, because they've realized I am about the truth. Not a he said, she said, the truth. And there's the seniors, about 80% of them are suffering because the center's not open and there's no place to go. and that absolutely hurts my heart.
Councilman Smith, on this amendment.
I would just like to say that I agree with the other fellow councilmen about the seniors are suffering. And I've gotten many calls from the seniors that are in many positions over there. And I think that we need to make the right decision. I know the lease has been terminated, and there's a battle still going on. And so we can't talk about it, but we can encourage them to continue to keep the faith, because we know that God is still in control no matter what happens. Keep the faith, never give up, because you know it might be something better on the other side. You never know. You don't know what God is up to. So just hold on. Don't give up. Thank you.
Any further comment or question regarding this amendment? All right, we're ready to vote. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
2 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. Councilman Claunch, any other amendments?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think I've caused enough controversy for one evening.
Councilman Zacharias, amendments?
No, sir.
All right, we're now ready to take up the ordinance 98 as amended. Any final comment or question regarding ordinance 98? Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
All right, so the statement that I was going to make earlier is just that I just want to say that remember that we have heard a lot about the homeowners and the tax increase, but this isn't just solely about homeowners. The renters also get hit with it when their leases renew. And somebody who has also been left out of this conversation are the businesses as well. Commercial rate is 40%. So if somebody not only owns a home in Clarksville, but they also operate a business and either they own that area or they lease it, they also get hit with this tax rate twice. And that could be hurtful to some of those businesses who are struggling. And so that's just a ripple effect that happens overall in this budget. But ultimately, what I wanted to say was that it's not just a question on whether it's a need for more revenue. It's a question on have we been good stewards to the money that we have had. Because you see this memo in front of you and you see that departments have come under budget, strong cash position, substantial investments, capital spending that are largely driven by policy choices. So if these things have been true over time, then, why are we asking taxpayers that there's no alternative? They have to, increase their tax rate. And if these assumptions have changed and it's truly a revenue problem, or is it truly a revenue problem, or is it spending and planning? Because as you see here, departments have come under budget, 5.5 million. But then it goes into that while each individual department comes under budget, the government as a whole is over. And it's coming down to our capital projects. It's coming down to the debt. The debt is catching up to us. And if we required, according to this, to have made significant reductions over months, and I'm talking about the 2025-26 budget that was presented, then what does that say about the original reliability of those assumptions at the time? The analysis was performed that concluded that this is the direction that we had to go, that the residents are the ones who have to bear the burden. Because these are questions that we do have to answer to our constituents, and they deserve those answers. And that's all I have for you guys tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. With the cuts that were made Monday and what has happened tonight, did we move the mark at all from $1.02?
No, ma'am, we didn't.
Monday, I said that this budget couldn't be the final product, that I couldn't vote yes on it, and I stand by that tonight. So I will say I'm not ready to vote yes on this. If we wanted to stand in recess instead of voting again, in order to keep it at second reading so we're not completely starting over, what would that process look like?
Hang on just 1 minute. Because we'd have to give proper notice in the newspaper about another meeting. Mr. Bittner?
We would need a specific date and time, so we would need like a motion to recess to Monday or at 4:30, whatever date that is, July the 13th. We would not have to go back into the newspaper because we would be recessing the current meeting as opposed to having a new meeting altogether. So if the council decided to do that, it would be a motion to recess, and you'd have to agree on the date. And then you would make that announcement, motion to recess to July 13th, 4:30 PM. And we pick back up where we are now.
Okay, Councilman Lovato, you have the floor.
Part two to my question, should we vote tonight in a moment and it fail, can we sit here and argue it out until council members change their mind?
You could do a motion to reconsider, you could put it back on, and then it would have to be made by a member on the prevailing side.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Bittner. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Give me just a second to gather my thoughts.
Okay. Folks, this has been a laborious process, and you've seen and heard from our departments over and over again. The reductions are now cutting to the bone to the point where we're eliminating potential staff and reducing the quality of our workforce by not providing them true tools and training. I'm not going to be here but for another 5.5 months. And I recognize you all will have to live with it beyond that, some of you, but our employees deserve a budget. They deserve a budget. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Mr. Bentner, if we go through with what Councilman Ward 12 said, would it still open it up for amendments to the budget?
If you do the recess, you could because you would not vote, so you could come back on your amendments. If you don't do the recess and we vote, and then there is no motion to reconsider, then we would have to start over, and we'd have to put a notice in the newspaper and do the agenda again, so we would be, I think, 5 days out.
So one way or the other, if we vote to go along with a postponement, then amendments could be brought forward on that day.
A recess, we would want to vote to put the meeting in recess until that particular day.
But then if we vote on the budget tonight and then it doesn't pass, then we're going to be back at the same process of amendments again.
We will be back to square one, first reading.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. We'll be back at amendments again. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Folks, I understand. All 13 of us up here are affected by a budget increase. We all live in the city, and we're passing it on to ourselves as well. I brought this up before. In 20 years, my property taxes have gone up $284 in 20 years. I know that there's people out here that are on fixed income. I'm on a fixed income. Yes, I count every dollar every month. But our job is to pass a budget for this city. We are not doing our job. I'm going to go ahead and step on toes. We got people that vote no on the budget and never give a single amendment. Just vote no because I don't like it. We have people that have taken the time and effort to look at it and present us with amendments. Some have passed, some has failed. I think we've done a darn good job of going from 31-cent increase down to 10-cent increase. We need to do our job. We need to put this city first, the entire city. I've said it time and time and time again, and yes, I'm getting mad. Time and time again. We are all elected by our wards, but on the big hand, it's our responsibility to look out for the entire city. So I don't urge you, I beg you with every bent of my fiber, let's get this budget passed and quit looking like we don't know what we're doing. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This goes along a little bit with what the councilperson from Ward 4 just said. We started out at 31. We've gotten it down to 10 cents. Big cuts happened early on. We had 7 cents in the first reading. After that, in between which still failed, in between the first and the second first reading, the mayor came back with a proposed budget that took another 8 cents. In the next meeting, we had 1 more cent. We have barely moved the mark since the first reading. We are now on the 6th meeting, 5 first readings, 1 second reading, and in these 2 readings, in the first and the second reading, we've removed $250,000. And yes, there have been amendments that have been proposed that did not make it, and that's because it requires a majority vote to be able to get it passed. Where we're at currently is the will of the council because it's what has been brought forward, it's what's been approved, it's what's not been approved. Before we did anything else, like we talked about, we're at bare bones. Some of these departments have taken huge hits, and these are things that aren't going away. We just get to figure out how to pay for them next year. And no one wants to vote for a tax increase. I don't want to pay for a tax increase myself. I'm the only one in my household paying my bills. My little dog, she doesn't pay a single bill in there, so it's all me that's taking care of doing it. I know this is not easy, and it is not easy to sit here and vote in favor of a tax increase because we know the effect that it has on people. But just like the costs are going up for everyone else, those same costs are going up for the city. We're all having to pay for more, and so is the city. These are things, we've gone beyond it being wants. We have a budget of needs. We need to make sure we have our police force out there taking care of everyone. Everyone in this room was aware that the increases to our police officers and our firefighters was going to cost money. When Chief Burdine was up here, the question was asked of him, are we going to have to pay for this when the budget comes around? And he very quickly said, yes, we are. But it's what was needed in order to be able to try and compete and keep our police officers here. There are things 11 months out of the year we are hearing from the community, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. And yes, the predominant message on social media for the last month is no new taxes, no new taxes, no new taxes. I get that. But we also have the other 11 months out of the year where we're hearing from people that are calling us because they need building and codes to come take care of something. I'm still getting phone calls, not just about the budget. I'm still getting phone calls about issues that our citizens have. And in order to be able to serve them, we've got to have the departments have the ability to be able to do that. Before we even talk about going into a recess or voting, I would love to hear everybody talk. If you think there's more cuts you think you can make, and get through, because again, it requires a majority vote. What are you looking at? What are you thinking about? And if that's the case, why not have already brought it forward? I don't see how us continuing to do the definition of insanity is really going to get us anywhere. We are responsible for this budget passing or not passing. I know the statement's been made, it's the mayor's budget. It's not, it's ours. Each and every single one of us are up here and are responsible for whether this budget passes or fails. And we have got to get back to taking care of our citizens. I can tell you too, I don't think any of our employees, and I'm not just referring to the department heads you see sitting in the room, the employees that are watching what's going on and not knowing what's going to happen from us having to make decisions up here. Again, if you're thinking you can make more cuts and we can make a difference more than $250,000 and actually move the needle, then let's talk about it. Put it out on the table right now. Get a blank piece of paper from the city clerk, not a blank piece of paper, but a blank amendment, and start working on it. But I know I myself, I have gone through this budget book multiple times, not just the paper copy, the copy online. I have spent many hours reviewing every bit of this. I've brought amendments like every single time except tonight. Tonight's my first night. I haven't done a single amendment. But we've all been trying. If you want to try something else, please talk about it right now. Let's not leave here without having a decision.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I will say a surefire way to get me on your side is to tell me how insane I'm acting. I applaud what has already been done. You all, the city, the mayor's office, you all have put a lot of work in this budget, and that is not lost on me. The statement was, made about people voting no and not bringing any amendments. I just want to remind you all, amendments are tools. They're not obligations. If we don't agree on the foundation of a budget, it is completely appropriate to vote no on it. And I don't think that we should feel guilty as one council person that we weren't able to rewrite an entire budget for the entire city. I keep hearing over and over again that our most important job is to pass this budget. No, it isn't. We were elected by the people to represent them and hold the government accountable for spending and what they are doing with the budget. And those of us that are voting no, I won't speak for everyone, but I will speak for myself. Voting no is a way to hold people accountable. And I'm not going to be strong-armed into this when I can't confidently go to my constituents and say, yes, this tax increase is exactly what we need. And it's not just on social media. They're calling, they are emailing every day. Currently, I don't know if y'all have tried to call me, my voicemail stays full at this point, and it is almost every one of them is a constituent concerned about the budget. I think it's great that council members have poured through the budget. So have I. I can't tell you how many times I've read through the current one and previous ones trying to track the numbers and make it make sense. And I went to every single committee meeting. It is not lost on me how hard our employees work, how dedicated our department heads. But if it's not right, it's not right. And right now, it's still not right.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So when we're talking about transparency, I think it's important that we understand that transparency has two sides. We need to be transparent about the money, or about what we're spending money on, but I think we also need to be transparent about what we're not spending money on. I agree with something that my colleague from Ward 5 said earlier. She said it's capital projects, okay? We're spending a lot of money on capital projects, and I'm going to read a list, and to our ASL interpreters, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do. But I'm going to read the list of all of the capital projects that we've put on hold to try to get this number down. These are projects that will not be worked on in the next fiscal year with this current budget. We have an intersection modification and improvement project, sidewalks in North Clarksville, sidewalks in Greenwood, Peters Mill, and Hazelwood. Need more road improvement, phase 1, Memorial Drive extension, State Routes 48 and 13, sidewalks and crosswalks. Downtown revitalization, Lafayette Road sidewalk, Rossview Road, Red River sidewalk, Exit 8 athletic complex and access, Hazelwood Recreation Complex, Greenway expansion and improvements, Fire Station 1 remodel, expansion of Fire Station 3 for District 1, expansion of Station 9 for District 3, City Hall HVAC, Outlaw Field Public Safety Complex and Fuel, accessibility enhancements, Cumberland Riverbank stabilization, First Street improvements, and an 8th Street clinic. Those are still capital projects that remain on the book that will appear in next year's budget until somebody on this council is willing to stand up and say, I don't think the city should be in the need more road improvement business. That's what it's going to take. These capital projects it's a directive, it's an imperative to the mayor's office to fund these infrastructure projects that we hear about all year long. The only thing we do by postponing this is agree to pay more for it in the future unless we cancel some of these projects. And I don't see anybody, I don't want to tell the people of Clarksville that, sidewalks aren't important. And that's just the capital projects. That's not the cuts to the operational spending that we've already made. This is how people lose faith in their government. When we meet with them for 2 years and get their input about what they want for the Frosty Morn site, and then we cut it because we're going to save a penny. Or we meet with the skating community, 3 different meetings where they brought their ideas and we took input and they met with the designers and they had their design elements. Sorry, too expensive. We're putting a price on our word to the people of this city, and I'm not comfortable with it. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman?
Thank you. I do want to say to the councilperson for Ward 12, I don't think myself or the councilperson from Ward 4 was calling anybody individually insane. I think the idea being that we are all in this together, it's we are doing this. This is a we. This isn't anybody specifically being insane. It's that we're repeating the same action over and over again. And to the council person for Ward 1 that sat there and listed off everything, it kills me that we don't have, we're not moving anything right now on the Exit 8 athletic complex. I've gotten several calls about that, but there's only so much to even be able to sit up here and try and fight for. But the soccer community has asked for that, knowing that if we could get that ball moving, the soccer ball, so to speak, but get that athletic complex moving, that could drive tournaments here. Tournaments in turn would then you'd have larger tournaments than what we already have here. You then have more people staying in the hotel motel, spending money at the restaurants and other businesses, which generates revenue that comes back into our community that we're then in turn able to use. And it not only generates revenue for us, it generates revenue for the county, or essentially by generating revenue for our school system. But that's not even something that can even try and fight for, because the biggest thing that we hear about is roads, and we can't even move forward on any one of those. I'm not trying to guilt anybody. I'm just trying to ask if there are more things that you think we can cut, bring it up. Talk about it right now. Back in the day, they used to stay here till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry for the face I just got, but they used to stay here many, many hours trying to get this job done. We've been here 3 hours. If we need to do more work, then come up with something. I said that in the very first reading that we had, and here we are 6 meetings later. I just feel like we have got a job to do. We as a whole, we as all 13 of us have a job to do. I think we need to get it done.
Councilman Claunch, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will respectfully disagree with the councilperson from Ward 1 in the sense of accountability. I think that's those that have voted no, those that have presented ideas, recommendations, we're doing what our constituents want. There's been a lot of talk about communication, accountability, and transparency, and I'm so tired of hearing those words. It is so much greater than that, and the personal strife that we've all experienced in capacities of the phone calls and the emails and wanting to explain stuff to constituents in a palatable manner that we understand, or that I understand back to the constituents, and that is lacking. So, I served in the military, and there was a time where we didn't get paid because they couldn't pass a budget, and it was scary, and that affected, myself, soldiers, leaders, families. So when we say there's 13 of us that are responsible for this, it is significantly greater than that. We have department heads that we all have a piece of this pie. We all own a little bit of this. It's not just us 13, because we started at $1.31, and somehow magically in 6 meetings we're now down to $1.02. I find that interesting, and I like a lot of phrases, but if everything is important and everything is catastrophic to your organization or your department, then nothing is important. There's priorities that need to be made and established and understood, and there are cuts that have to be made, period. We all experience that in our daily life. And it's not lost on me that I also suffer, as well as the citizens and the constituents of this community. But I think collectively, those that have voted no are saying that this is enough. The buck stops here. Square peg, round hole. It ain't going to work. It is not going to work. I also applaud the city council member from Ward 10 saying, let's figure it out. I'm all about it. But that means that we're going to have to make compromises. We're going to have hard conversations. Is a sidewalk as valuable as not shutting down, I'm not even going to say the word, X, Y, or Z? Well, we have to decide that. So the onus is on us, but it's also on department heads in saying, this is truly important, because I've heard of a lot of department heads come up here and say, it's catastrophic. It's catastrophic. I've also spent time with other department heads that have said, hey, Eric, cut this and or give it to this other person because they need it more. And God bless them for that, because they are willing to eat less so that we can pass a budget. As far as what I want individually, this isn't fun. All of us in here are missing time with our family. We're missing vacations. We're missing all kinds of things. But it is that important. I also will not be strong-armed, and I also will be a no at this current rate. There's more work that needs to be done. And until we're willing to have the hardest of hard conversations, I will continue to hit that red X. And it's not about, it is about the rate, but it's also about the way that it's all been communicated and the palatability of understanding these dollars and where they go. That's truly what it's about. When I came to the city, I went and met every department head. And one of my first meetings, I knew that there was going to be a tax increase. And I know nobody wants a tax increase. And I said, I need to understand now how to inform my constituents what this looks like, because we are growing expeditiously and we cannot keep up. But the constituents have had enough. They've had enough. They've had enough. That's all I have.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. So I've brought up, I've been talking about, with HR and finance about amendment that I was looking at. And I know it may not be very popular, especially with employees, about the city's absorbing the insurance increase costs for the employees. A lot of businesses pass that cost on to the employees. I know other government agencies pass part of that on to employees. So my problem is that we've already approved these other budgets ahead of time that would not be affected by that, such as the transit, gas and water, and so I don't know if we could bring those back afterwards, and I don't know if we'd want to, I don't even know if it'd pass, but, if I could get a blank, amendment form, I'll fill some out. So, before I get into it, I guess I need to get it. Unless you already have it printed. It'd be the same. Yes. Thank you. And I know some of us up here have a number we want to get to, that we would feel a little more comfortable voting at a certain, tax rate. So, can't hurt to try, to try and save another penny for our constituents, but, everybody's cost is going up. And of course, I know the city's cost is going up too, so I understand that there needs to be some tax increase. It's just a matter of us individually deciding what we feel comfortable with explaining to the constituents.
There you go. Councilman Brown, this is yours, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hang on. When everybody gets it, I'll come to you for a motion and an explanation.
So my motion will be splitting the insurance increase cost 50-50 with the employees for this year instead of the city absorbing 100% of the increased cost.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this amendment. Anything else you want to explain, Councilman Brown?
A lot of the times, our health insurance costs go up, every year. The city is planning to absorb that, this year for the employees, which I understand. And I appreciate that. But when most of our constituents costs are going up for their insurance, then we're trying to save pennies, and this would be, just a little bit over a penny itself. And that's just passing half the insurance increase cost on to the employees that are under the general fund.
Okay, Councilman Chandler on this amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Are you saying split 10% health insurance? So are you saying the employee pays 5% more and the city pays the other 5%?
Councilman Brown?
So the increase in the insurance cost going up would be split 50% by the employee and 50% by the city. Maybe.
I think we need to get an explanation.
Yes.
Of the premium increase, the dollar value, just so we know the specifics.
Okay, doing some ticky-tacky math right now. The employee-only premium currently is $144 a month. With this increase, it would go up to $235 a month. So here's where it gets tricky. Splitting, yes, to your question, splitting the 10% increase in half would be a 5% increase for the employees in the city general side, and it would be a 5% increase for city general departments. Mind you, transit and gas and water has already passed their budget. Both are absorbing the 10% increase. So keep in mind, you're going to have two people working side by side, paying difference in health rates for the same benefit. Two, we are required to give our employees at least a 60-day notice for premium changes. With that, we're already 9 days into the new fiscal year that we have not adopted a budget on. So we have to then extend that out to October 1st at this point. So we would be splitting this premium increase across I'm not good at math. What is that? 9 months instead of 12. So the last time I ran these numbers, it was looking at a 60-day, and so implementing it 2 months into the fiscal year, and it looked to be a $91 increase for each active employee, but we're going to have to push it back another month, so it's going to go up even more, if that makes sense. I don't have the numbers on hand because this was talked about a couple weeks ago.
So what you're saying is minimum city employees would pay $91 a month more.
Correct. That would increase their premium. I have a percentage on here. A 63% increase to the employee premium, employee-only premium. That's not the others.
That, 90, no, never mind, I'm done.
Councilman Streetman on the amendment.
Yes, question. You said that was 91, is that, and I just want to clarify, was that per month or per paycheck? And I realize it's higher than that now because it would be 9 months versus 10 months.
Per month.
So it's per month that would go up. And of course, this would take effect October 1st.
It would have to take effect October 1st. We have to legally give them a 60-day notice.
So would they be able to opt out then?
Correct. It would be a special open enrollment. We have to notice that this is what your premium is going to go to. You decide to drop us or not, then they would have to get onto a different plan somewhere else.
And and of course, their pay raises don't go into effect, the 2% pay raise doesn't go into effect until January 9th?
3% January 9th of
3%.
2027.
I'm so sorry. 3, you're right. I apologize. 3% goes into effect on January 9th. And I'm asking this on the spot, so I apologize. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question. Because it is 3%. We have some people, is it going to wipe out the 3%?
Their health premium increase will be over what the percentage, what the 3% percentage increase would be for our average employee.
For the average employee?
Lowest paid
Okay.
employee. I ran the numbers, I think it was like $5 over back when it was $91. Like I said, it's going to be more now.
Okay, so they'd be making less from October to December, and then still, even with the raise, through December, then even with the raise, some will still be bringing home less than they are today.
Correct.
And you did say, like I said, the others had already passed their budgets, so there's a set. They're good for gas and water and everybody.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Lovato?
Thank you, Mayor. It's a $91 increase. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the numbers. It's a $91 increase for the employee only, right?
That is our employee-only plan.
What about for the family plans?
Let me pull it up. It's $91 per plan, but spreading that out, it would be, so currently our employee plus spouse plan is $268 a month. That would go up to $359. That's a 34% premium increase. Now, this is just talking about $91. Keep in mind, it's going to be more because 1 month less.
Okay. What about employee, spouse, and kids?
The entire family, the current monthly premium is $358. It would go up to $449, which is a 25% increase. We also have another plan on here that's employee plus children, those without spouses. It's currently $247. It would go up to $338, which is a 37% increase.
And what kind of increase did they face last year for the health insurance?
Great question. 5% increase in FY25, 5% increase in FY26. In FY24, we had to make some difficult decisions, and we increased the premiums 85.7%.
And that was in 2024?
FY24.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Claunch, is this for Ms. Luntz or just about the amendment?
No, it is. And I'm not trying to put anybody's Paychex business out there, but the predominant city employees make, it's the workers. What is that, $25 an hour to $40 an hour, or $50,000 a year? What is the mean average salary of the working class city folks?
I don't know that I have that number handy. Do you, finance? When we calculate the GWI? No. I don't have that number off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
No, and you're on the spot, and I understand that. And we had talked about this a little bit previously. How many people make over six figures in the city? It's not a lot. Department heads, maybe senior staff. How many employees are in the city?
If you're considering part-time, around 1,600.
Okay, 16.
That includes gas and water as well.
Okay, so, I mean, if you took 10%, I'll go 20%. 320 are making over six figures, and that leaves 1,200 and some change in that bracket, ranging from probably $18 an hour, 36,000 a year, to maybe 60, that low range. I mean, is that somewhat fair? I mean, I've looked at some salaries, but.
Yeah, sure.
So that family, that young man, that young woman with a significant other and a child is an increase of, you said, from last year to this year, it was a 5% increase. I know you said the family one was 20% increase.
25% increase for family coverage. If it was just an employee and their children, it would be 37% increase.
Thank you.
Councilman Chandler for Ms. Luntz, or just in general?
Comment.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Luntz. You're recognized.
You know, I heard here, and like I said, all these sessions start like cobwebs in the mind. You know, I thought I heard one time say that property tax increase would be average about $12 a month for our citizens. So $12 a month, 10 months, you know, $120, $140 maybe. But yet we're gonna sit here and talk about adding $1,092 to our city employees. That's what's gonna cost us a year, just for the employee. We're giving them a 3% raise, which, they're back fighting in Iran again, and I noticed on my way in, gas jumped 50 cents a gallon more. So that 3% we just gave back to the gas stations and the grocery stores. And we're asking our city employees to give up almost $1,100 a year so we can save a citizen $140. You go back to, and I've said it for years, because I was a loyal employee to this city for 34 years. And we have some of the best employees in the world that work for us. And if we make them pay this so we can save somebody $140 a year or so, you know, that doesn't say a whole lot for us. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand what the sponsor's trying to do here, exactly what I suggested. Let's look at things and see what we can do. And the fact that he didn't bring it forward tells me he's doing exactly that. He's just trying to see what everybody's willing to look at. To answer essentially your question, this equates to a penny of savings, a little over a penny of savings. So I have a spreadsheet that I'd made here. For someone that owns a $255,000 house, this penny will save them that's gonna cost presumably $101. I did the math. I took the $91, multiplied it times 10, divided it back by 9 to get that increase, that $100 that each plan, $101 that each plan will cost more for our employees. But on a $255,000 house, that equates to $6.38 for the year more on their taxes. On a $300,000 home, the penny costs $7.50 for the year, not the month, the year. For someone with a $350,000 house, a penny is an annual increase of $8.75. For someone with a $400,000 house, a penny is an increase of $10. $450,000 house, a penny is an increase of $11.25. $500,000 house, it's an increase of $12.50 on the year. And if you have a $600,000 house, it's an increase of $15 per year. So that's the number that we're saving with the $101 a month more that the employees would be paying. And again, I understand what you're doing, so I mean, no disrespect. But I just wanted, since you brought it up, pull this up. And I didn't go beyond $600,000. I felt like that was sufficient numbers to be able to put out there for everyone to equate what that penny looks like, not just for this, but for anything else that we're looking at.
Councilman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And again, thanks to the sponsor for bringing this forward. But as we all know, it's a challenge to try to bring this budget down more. But I'm like Ward too. It can be done. We can bring it down. I wouldn't support this, but I would support relooking at some of the other proposed amendments that we brought in earlier, and maybe lower some of those amounts and have some discussions about that. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion about this amendment? Councilman Smith on the amendment.
I'm gonna say this, we've been penny, trying to get this budget down. I brought forth an amendment to go ahead and decrease the budget by $4 million in one whop. We penny all day long. Wasting my time, to tell you the truth. We've been here since 4:30, and we on a penny, another penny, getting nowhere. As I said, let's make a big cut. Let's decrease it by $4 million, putting the tax rate at 95.95 3-cent increase. That's a whopping $4 million, and we sitting here penny, and ain't got nowhere. And people keep saying, let's go to line item. Let the department heads make the decision as to where they want to make the cut. We still sitting here another, how many more hours? Ain't got nowhere. We still fussing and can't decide what we gonna do. I'm disappointed with the budget. First of all, Ward 6 don't have nothing in this budget that's gonna help them. No sidewalks, that was taken out. Couldn't put no sidewalks over in Red River. Capital project, I'm still talking, everybody done shared what they
Point
wanted
of order,
to say.
no, she is allowed to ask for a point of order. Your point of order?
According to Robert's rules, we need to stay on the topic of this amendment.
All right, let's stay with the amendment. Councilman
Okay,
Smith?
all right, well, everybody else done said what they had to say, and it wasn't on the amendment, especially Ward 4. So I'm gonna say what I got to say. And let me say this, I'm disappointed with this amendment, because there is nothing in here for Ward 6. You took the multi-purpose centers, we're supposed to make Frosty Morning, a multi-purpose center. You took the money out of that to make it a senior citizen housing area in a public place that is polluted. Then we took away the money for sidewalks that was supposed to be it over there. Then we done took all the money out of Ward 6. Ward 6 does not benefit. You took, the senior citizen building. So, I mean, this doesn't make sense. Let's take this whopping, $4,732 out of the budget. Let's bring this tax rate down to 95.95 cents. So it's talking about, I can easily get a line item. All I got to do is call the department head and tell me what can you cut. That's what most of y'all done. You ain't looked at no budget. You don't call the department head. Tell me, because some of you said it. Tell me what can you cut. That's what you did. I could do that too. But let them be who they are. We hired them to be department heads. We don't need to micromanage department heads. They can make decisions. We cutting these pennies, ain't getting nowhere, wasting my time. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Any more comment or question regarding this amendment? All right. We're voting on the Brown amendment. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
1 yes, 12 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment fails. All right. Yeah, it was close. All right. Any other comment or question? Let me address something here. Heard that we initially proposed a 31-cent tax increase to $1.23, and then magically was the word used, I think, that got down to $1.02. Ain't no magic to it. It's hard work, and these folks are having to do without. Ain't no magic to it. So all you're doing is the old oil filter commercial used to say, pay me now, pay me later. You're gonna pay later, because when the air conditioning goes out at City Hall, there won't be any money to fix it. Won't be any money to fix it. So it ain't no magic to it. It's hard work and sacrifice that they've already made. And you can smile and laugh all you want, but that's where we are. We're working hard to provide for this city, a growing city, what they need. And we're not doing the citizens justice by providing what they need, not necessarily what they want, and they're not begging for what they need either. All right. Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 98? Are we going to recess or are we going to just vote? All right. Okay, we're on ordinance 98 as amended. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
5 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 98 fails. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Motion to reconsider.
Motion made to reconsider our actions on ordinance 98, properly seconded. Any discussion about reconsidering our actions on ordinance 98? She objects, so we're going to put it on the board. We're voting to reconsider our actions. As soon as the clerk gets it on the board, we're voting to reconsider our actions on ordinance 98. All right. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, we're reconsidering our action on ordinance 98. Councilman Lovato?
Mayor, I actually have all of the failed amendments with me. Can we take a 15-minute recess so that I can compile them?
Any objection to a recess? We have objections, so we're going to put it on the board. The motion is for a 15-minute recess until 8, we'll say 8:10. So we're voting to take a 15-minute recess until 8:10 PM. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
10 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
All right, that motion passes. We're in recess until 8:10. to get us started, I've got an amendment. Waiting on the clerk to make copies, but I'll make a motion for this amendment. Do I hear a second? Properly seconded. This amendment is to reduce street department operating by $476,000. If you add the reduction already made the other night of $200,000, it gets us to a penny, so it would reduce the property tax rate to $1.01. And so, in anticipation of questions, Mr. Smith, if you don't mind coming up and I know we've talked about this, and I didn't want to do this, but well-worn cliche, we're trying to move the needle here. So, Mr. Smith, help us understand.
Sure. So our original ask was forecasting an entire year of paving. And of course, there's a period of time where the asphalt pans close. So we can't do any paving in the winter months, those coldest winter months. But $4.8 million was the forecast for those. That's of course been cut originally to 3. And if we reduce it this more, it's just going to be those fewer months that we're going to be able to pave. You're going to get complaints about the condition of some of the roads, like we got this year with Needmore. They're going to complain about the health of the roads. We'll have to patch instead of pave roads. They'll look very patched, very piecemealed. There'll be a lot more seams in the road, and again, it kicks the can down the road. I've said it the past 2 years when we reduced paving, but I understand it's a tidy sum, and roads cost a lot of money, so it is an area where, we can move the needle. Sir.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Mr. Smith, so the general fund and street, but $476,000, are you saying that would all come out of paving, or could that be split, between other lines maybe that,
Well, it would have to be, as department heads, we don't operate like in a vacuum. We do have money to move, and in this past year circumstance when we had the ice storm, we certainly didn't forecast that overtime or that expense in salt, so we had to pull money from somewhere. So to cover, what we'd spent, we pulled that from some of our asphalt. So those guys weren't able to do that kind of work. So it was beneficial, as I told Councilman Peters, that Parks and Rec had some work that needed to be done because we didn't have the money to buy hot mix in those circumstances. So the preponderance, there would be probably some concrete money, some rock money that would have to be used, but
so it could be spread out throughout the budget, not just out of one line?
It could.
If needed.
Yeah, it could. We have cut a fair bit, but yes, it could.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more comment or question regarding this amendment? Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
All right. I passed it around. Oh. No, we just passed them out. Everybody got one now? Okay. All right. Seeing no further question or comment, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, put us on the board. We are voting on this amendment to reduce street operating by $476,000, and that would also reduce the property tax rate, proposed rate, to $1.01. 101. It's a good number for the 101st. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk? take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, that amendment is adopted. All right, other amendments. Coming to you, Councilman Lovato.
These, Mayor, these are amendments from other council members. I don't know if you want to give them the opportunity to maybe present their own. So I don't, if y'all want to listen to me talk through all this, it's going to be a long night.
Well, they don't want to listen to me talk either. So have you
Procedurally, I
distributed?
just don't know how to do it. Yeah, I can. Okay, so the first one, and I will just say that I am, whether I agree with them or not, they're amendments that have come forward. So just offering them up for reconsideration. That's all I'm doing. Let's see.
So you've got copies that'll circulate?
do.
Okay.
So the first one is.
Hang on just a minute. Once we get it, then you can tell us.
Take one and pass it.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized, or are you yielding to the original sponsor?
I would love to yield to the original sponsor.
I think that would be Councilman
Councilman
Brown.
Brown.
You're recognized.
Right. Thank you, Mayor and Ward 12. But this was just the splitting of the health insurance increase premium, 50-50 with the employees. I know their COLA doesn't go in effect till January, so, I know this will be difficult because, so if the 3% COLA only taking effect in January is pretty much like a 1.5%, really.
Yes, sir.
So, that was my motion. Second.
Properly seconded. Any discussion about this amendment? Councilman Smith, you're recognized on this amendment.
Yes, thank you. Would this save a penny or half a penny? What did it say?
It would
That would help us.
reduce it by a penny,
A penny? Another penny? Okay,
so we're down to $1.
okay, all right.
Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
I don't know, I just don't agree with this. We're asking employees to take on more with less. I mean, is it worth a penny for us to do this to employees? I have to think not. So I'm gonna be a no on this. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Just a reminder that this 1 penny is going to cost our employees likely $101 a month to save your taxpayers, your residential taxpayers, $6 to $15 a year, and that's going all the way up to a $600,000 house. So your average at the $319,000, this is saving them $8 for the whole year and costing employees $101, who, by the way, also live, a lot of them also live in the city.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Renew my objections up from earlier. Just, it's not fair to the city employee to have to bear this weight.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I've heard, someone just say that it's not fair to the employees to have to bear this weight. What about the citizens? When we raise the taxes, it's not fair for them to have to bear the weight. So we need to think about the citizens as well as we think about the employees. We always want, and now I'm for my employees now. I mean, I'm for both. But why do we'll stand up for the employees, but we won't stand up for the citizens? It's not fair for them, but it's fair for the citizens to bear the burden. Every time we need a tax increase, we always want to put it on the burden on the citizens. Why is it's so good to just, hey, let's let them citizens pay for it. Y'all don't care whether it's fair or not for them. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Brown?
I call for the question.
Question's been called and seconded. Any objection to ceasing discussion on this amendment? I don't hear any, so we're going to vote on this amendment. We're voting on the Brown amendment. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
2 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. Councilman Lovato?
All right, the next one coming around is one that was proposed by Councilman Streetman, so when everybody gets this around, I would love to yield to her.
Okay. When he gets there, I'll recognize you and we'll take it from there.
No, I think it was.
Everybody got a copy? Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This was proposed first reading or second first reading. It was originally proposed to, thank you, for a total of $26,000, which was a $6,000 reduction to training, $5,000 reduction to professional services, and $15,000 to reduce legal services, for a total of $26,000. Looking quickly over our list of budget changes from where we started to where we are, legal is one department that I do not see where we have made any cuts whatsoever. So I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded for this amendment. Any discussion? This one. Any discussion about this amendment? All right, are you ready to vote? We're voting on the Streetman amendment. As soon as the clerk can get us on the board, we'll be voting on this amendment. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment is adopted. Councilman Lovato, who's next?
All right, so this one, again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just repeating things. I don't support all of these, but this one is Mason Rudolph, removing the capital project. And this one was brought forward by councilman from Ward 5 that I would like to yield to.
All right. And I would assume that just because it's comes to you, you don't have to present it, but it's strictly up to you.
Mason Rudolph? Yeah. Mason Rudolph.
Okay, has everybody got a copy? Councilman Marquis, you're recognized on this amendment.
Yeah, so my original thought process was eliminating the capital project in order for us to not continue to take on debt. As I said, the debt is killing us out here. Every year, we have more higher payments to pay, and by reducing the capital project, the idea was that eventually we could get some type of partnership or something else in the future, which is also why I left the original funds in the account, so that way it could operate. But while we were in a transition mode is what I would hope could happen, so that way eventually this work can be done, just not on debt. Yeah. Thank you.
A motion?
Sorry, yes, I had to make a motion.
Okay, all right. Councilman Streetman on this amendment.
Thank you. My opinion has not changed from before on this one, in that Mason Rudolph is something that we have had citizens of our community asking for, begging for years, for this project, not to just be on the capital projects list, but to be funded. They want Mason Rudolph back open. Granted, I know like we've said earlier tonight, there's been discussions, but there is no firm proposal. There is no contract in hand. And if nothing comes about of it, then it's another year or more before anything happens with Mason Rudolph. These are taxpayers too that have been wanting this. I've supported Mason Rudolph since the entire 8 years I've been on here, in previous times of things trying to be cut from it, closed down, anything. But this is what our community wants, and as I pointed out previously, and was pointed out by a potential, discussion amendment, that all of our Parks and Rec facilities cost money to be able to do and to be able to maintain. The cost that we're spending on recreation centers, on pools, on greenways, on everything else, these are all leading to what's in the budget for our parks and recreation. It's not just one. It's not just the golf courses that are leading these costs that we have there. I would ask that y'all, again, continue to vote this amendment down so that we can finally get Mason Rudolph back open and get our youth and our senior citizens out there able to play on that course. I know people are excited and ready for that to happen, and if we don't fund it, then it's going to be yet another year, and I don't want to see it turn into something else. I want it to be Mason Rudolph Golf Course.
Councilman Zacharias on this amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've heard a couple comments about debt and about how we need to be aware of our debt, and we absolutely do. But I think we might be coming at this from the position of somebody who is thinking that city finances run the same way household finances run. And that's just not the case. Needmore Road Phase 1 and 2 combined, I happen to know, in 2020 were estimated to cost $81 million. If we were not going to do that road project with debt, that would mean we would have to take in $81 million more dollars than we need to run the city. I don't even think we can do that legally. I'd be furious if my local government was collecting an extra $81 million in cash to do a project. There are $460 million worth of capital projects on the list. Moving stuff out of debt only makes it impossible to fund a lot of these projects. And I think if we apply that rationale to this situation, we cannot tax our citizens $468 million more than we need to run the city so we can do the capital projects. It would be unethical, and honestly, it would be impossible. So if we are not going to address our infrastructure with debt, which is the tool that's been provided to us, that's the other thing that, as a council, we have limited tools that we can use to address the needs of the city. If we're not going to raise revenue through the tools that have been made available to us, then maybe somebody needs to start suggesting to the people of Clarksville what infrastructure projects we are no longer interested in pursuing. Thank you.
Councilman Marquis, you're recognized on your amendment.
Just again to clarify that this is the capital project, not the actual general fund cash difference here. And I understand that there are certain projects that cost way too much to do with cash on hand. That's not what I'm saying. It was mentioned last week also that we are pretty much at the, I guess, capacity of what we can responsibly borrow to pay back. So we just have to either bring that down so we can keep on with our other projects, or find some way to balance this out. It's the idea here. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you recognize.
Thank you. I do want to clarify, like she said, this is a capital project. So the cut that you would be, this actually has to the budget is $66,425 because this is spreading 1.365 million into a capital project and spread out. I think it'd be great if we could just pay it versus doing that, but that requires the funding. It would take 2 pennies to be able to do it and just do it outright and not finance it and pay interest over it. But the concern with the debt is not having the tax rate to support it. And that's where we're running into the issue is that we're not giving the tax rate to be able to pay and to keep adding on. So that's where that's coming from. But this is, I mean, in there and budgeted in there to be able to pay for it. Like I said, you're talking about a reduction of $66,425 for a project that has been begged for years now.
Any further comment or question regarding this amendment? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Every member, please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, take the vote.
3 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. Councilman Lovato, what next?
All right, and I do apologize, I do not remember who brought this one forward. It is a reduction in the transit funding of $33,801. Apparently it was the councilman from Ward 10, and if she wishes, I'll yield to her.
Okay, we'll get it passed around, then I'll come to you for explanation. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Like I said, I'm almost positive this one was me. I don't recall anybody else bringing anything that reduced transit. This was on here for $433,801. This was a mixture of other stuff where I was trying to put things together. I believe it was with the road projects and everything we had involved in there. But first, let me make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded. You're recognized.
And I'm going to go ahead and take it a step further here. And reason being, before I even do that, this $433,801, if you remember, I was also the one that brought forward the amendment that restored the funding that had been taken out. The mayor made several cuts. I brought everything back that had been cut to get it down from 103 to 101, if I remember correctly. I know that it got it down to 101, but I brought it, every bit of it back so that we all had a vote in it to be able to make the decision, is this where we wanted these cuts to be made? Some things stayed cut, some things came back, and the 860, it passed to come back in at 7-6. So 6 people voted against it. Different times, tried different amounts, and no one's been willing to take any of it back out. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that you'd have 6 that voted against bringing it back and not have anything to cut. So I'm not even just going to stay with the $433,801. We've already cut $26,000. I make an amendment, and if you could just do it on the piece of paper and mark out the $433,801 to $650,000. Which would get us another penny because we've already cut 26. So I make a motion for approval for the amendment.
Motion been made to amend the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, this is not near as much, this isn't as much as the $860,000 that was originally taken out. Their amended budget for 26 was $4.1 million. It is, I'm not looking at it right now, I'm trying to go off memory here, I believe it's $5.9 million this year. Considerable increase that we have in there. I know that it was talked about there would have to be positions that would be, that people would have to be let go, but there is a large amount of turnover that occurs in our transit department, and I believe a good amount could be taken care of through attrition if we needed to wait on doing the planning, because money was in the budget for planning this year and wasn't used. So can we guarantee that it's gonna be used this year? There's a lot of different things. If you look through it all, like I looked through it all, I think there's ways that cuts could be made, and everybody has taken cuts. Building and Codes has taken over $1 million in cuts. Parks and Rec has taken over $1 million in cuts. IT has taken maybe close to $1 million in cuts. I apologize that I can't remember. I don't have my notes where I calculated it all. There has been monster cuts that have been made. Streets has now had over, I think, 2 million cut, or close to 2 million that has been cut. So I'm asking that you support that. If we're trying to sit here and make cuts, this gets us to another penny. We're already down to 101. This gets us down to $1. I just ask for your support on this.
Councilman Claunch on the amendment to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Buses we're at buses or golf courses. That's where we're at. North Clarksville, there's a bus stop in front of my house. I will not be supporting this amendment.
Councilman Smith, you recognized on the amendment to the amendment.
Okay, on this amendment, I just want to know what funds this is coming out of to decrease. What funds? What funds? General funds, capital projects? What is this?
Operating, it's coming out of operating.
The general funds? That's the operating funds, that's correct?
That's correct.
Coming out of operating.
That's right, that's general funds, honey.
I'm quite aware. Thank you.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure that my numbers are correct, because I understand that the original amount was over 800,000. We've amended it to 650,000, but transit has already been cut 350,000. I just want to make sure that this amendment is reflecting, my brain is fried. Do you understand what I'm asking though?
I do.
Councilman Streetman.
I apologize because I kicked myself as soon as I hit the button. I snapped it myself because the 350,000 was cut from capital. This is in regard to operating.
Okay.
I apologize for my misstatement a moment ago, so I understand that question.
Capital outlay specifically. Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding the amendment to the amendment? Okay, we're voting on the amendment to increase the reduction from 433,801 to 650,000. So every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment to the amendment fails. We're back on the amendment as proposed, $433,801. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized on your amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, then what you're looking at is half of what we brought back in. That 7 votes brought back in, 6 votes were against. We're trying to make some cuts here. I'd still then say then 433,801, and appreciate your support.
Okay, any more comment or question regarding this amendment? As proposed, seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Sense a theme here. Amendment fails. Councilman Lovato, where are we?
All right. We're almost done. But before I present the next one, I will need another blank one. I'm so sorry, I got a little mixed up. But this one is a street department move. Thank you, ma'am. If I remember correctly, this was presented by the councilman from Ward 5. If she wishes, I will yield to her, but it reduces the street department and just restores it to capital for the sidewalks and the drainage mitigation.
Let's get it passed around, then I'll recognize the member from Ward 5. Councilman Markey, you're recognized on this amendment, if you choose to move forward.
I believe the way I had originally made this was that I wanted, because I understood it as it being bonds, as it was explained before, apparently it's cash. So originally my amendment was to delay moving it until we had bond council approval and line items on how these funds would be used. The way this is written is it's keeping it in capital projects, so I'm not sure what, I guess what this would do right now. It's, 'cause, again, when this was discussed, it was mentioned that this is cash that's currently,
Yep. Historically, we have put these two items in capital projects, which means that we would borrow money and they were much larger amounts.
yes.
But because we are trying to limit what we issue debt for, we moved these amounts into the operating, which is out of our cash. So they would be reductions for those two items in the operating fund, operating budget of street department.
Okay, so then we're decreasing street department by 800,000.
That's right.
Okay. I make a motion.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Yeah, I just want to point out that this is currently sitting in capital right now. So while it looks like we're reducing the street department budget, that money is still there and earmarked for these things. We're just moving it from capital. Am I explaining that
Let
correctly? No, I'm not. Never mind.
Let's,
Can the
you want
finance
to rewind the
people?
tape?
Yeah, I didn't say any of that.
Okay. If you don't mind, Ms. Wilcox, come and explain.
Those projects were in capital, but we decided to remove them in this budget proposal. And the streets department budget, their operating budget in the general fund has been appropriately increased for $800,000. So removing this $800,000 would actually drop streets operating budget as it's presented in your ordinance.
By another 800?
But this also says, and keep it in capital projects. So what did I misunderstand?
Well, we could put it back in capital projects. But I would not approve moving forward on them to use capacity in the band to pay for these. So it would move it back to capital, but they would just be pushed out to future years.
And just to clarify, similar to a point that I made about Needmore Road, the interest on this project would vary year to year.
Depending on how we bonded it when we got around to paying for it. Currently, the bond anticipation note that we are doing right now is a higher risk bond issuance. It's a drawdown and it has a variable rate. In a year or two, 3 to 5, whenever we decide to bond for these expenditures, we may do a traditional bond issuance, and most of the time those are fixed rates. So it depends on which vehicle of borrowing money we use.
Okay. Her explanation makes a lot more sense than mine did.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brown, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. So looking at the drainage mitigation, I know there's been discussions with gas and water about them taking over the drainage part of the, to deal with the flooding. So if this is in the street department operating budget and then we get it worked out to where gas and water is gonna take over this, then that money would still be in the street department's operating budget instead of being in a capital to where we could say, well, we're not gonna need to borrow that money now because gas and water is gonna take over it. So if we end up moving, and getting that drainage part with gas and water, then we wouldn't necessarily need to borrow this money for the capital project if it wasn't done before then.
It is likely fiscal year 28 before a stormwater utility proposal is brought to the council for approval as part of the budget process for next year, for fiscal 28. So we've still got some drainage issues to address.
Okay. The time frame on that was
Right.
where I was wondering about.
No, I was following you, but
Yes.
we're not close. I
Thank
wish we were. Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
I guess I had a quick question for Ms. Wilcox.
Without objection, Ms. Wilcox?
When you were mentioning the bond anticipation note, why is this one in particular higher risk?
Bond anticipation notes are always higher risk debt. They are more of a short-term issuance in that you can only keep them for 2 years. So at the end of 2 years, we will have to turn it into a regular bond. And because it's shorter term, banks want a better interest rate.
Okay. Would it not be, I guess, lesser risk to just have a regular bond issuance then?
If we did a regular bond issuance, we would have to draw it down the whole amount, 42.5, and we'd have a much higher interest right now, payments right now. Also, by having a bond anticipation note, we did not have to go through the credit rating process again.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You know, the risk is not that we're a risky investment, it's just the instrument that we're using to fund this. It's kind of like a home equity line of credit.
Okay. I don't have anything else. I was not prepared for this.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. As we're being asked to consider an amendment that would reduce funds for drainage mitigation, I just have to ask, how much money did the city spend buying houses from flood victims this year because our drainage mitigation was insufficient?
I'm going to take a swag guess, $1.5 million.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make an amendment to my amendment, and I would like to remove the drainage mitigation part of this amendment so that it stays in the street operating budget, and only the $300,000 for the sidewalk gets moved back into the capital projects.
Okay, you've heard the motion and the second for the amendment to the amendment, which is to keep in the amendment the 300,000 and to remove the 500,000 for the drainage mitigation. So okay. Any questions about the amendment to the amendment? All right. So we're now voting on the amendment to the amendment. Or will be. All right, every member cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment to the amendment passes. We're now on the amendment as amended, which is to reduce street operating by 300,000. Is that where I'm headed? Okay. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We're putting this on debt and taking it out of the budget. We're still gonna have to pay for it. It's just going to cost us more because we're paying that plus the interest on it. So it's not as though we're not saving the money. We're just asking everyone to pay for it later as part of the big bond. And when you stretch that over a long period of time, because it's gonna be mixed in with all the rest of the stuff, you're greatly increasing what it's gonna cost. You're gonna be spending probably, I don't know, maybe 150, 200,000 additional in interest over the span versus leaving it where it's at and going ahead and paying for it to get it taken care of. That's my thought on that. We're gonna spend $14,500 on interest this year for $300,000 drawn down off the ban.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So looking at it another way is this $300,000 for these sidewalks. These sidewalks are gonna be used by people for 20 years. And putting all that debt on somebody that lives here right now that may move away next year and somebody else move in, it's is spreading the cost out for many years to where people that will be using it down the road are still helping to support it also. So, it is a little bit of interest also. We just have to weigh that option there of spreading it out to the citizens throughout that time instead of just right now. Thank you.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
I just wanted to say, I know I brought this forward, but I caveated, I don't agree with all of these, and this is one that I don't actually agree with, because we do need to be more mindful about the debt that we're taking on, so that's all.
All right, any more comment or question regarding the amendment as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
2 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. Councilman Lovato?
Okay, I have one more, and I have to apologize to Ms. Canfield because this one fell through the cracks, and I just need copies. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to ask the Mayor Pro Tem to take over for a moment.
He has no power over us.
Give it the looks that you give me.
Listen, man. Oh. Can we turn this off?
All right, to the councilwoman from Ward 12 on your amendment.
I can't take you serious right now, I'm sorry. I make a motion for approval on this amendment.
We have a motion and a proper second. Any comment on this amendment?
Okay. This is revisiting what the amendment that I brought forward with some changes based on amendments that have already passed or failed. It is decreasing the HR budget by $101,826, and that is only removing one new full-time employee. So they will, and this is the amount that came from Parks and Rec. So they will still maintain the amount needed for the payroll, et cetera, for the one for the police department. And then it is also decreasing the street department's budget by $300,000 to defer those sidewalks another year.
We've heard the explanation from the sponsor. Are there any other comments on this budget amendment? Councilman Peters.
Yeah, on this amendment, I would support this. I mean, and I'll say,
Can we take a moment of silence while people get in their right chairs?
All right, where were we?
to me speaking,
You're recognized. Go for it.
I just want to say that, given the HR to the police department, I think that's a good thing. They got special situations, special circumstances over there. They don't need their information put out like to a general HR department, so I will support this in that sense.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized. Oh, I'm sorry. You sure can.
This is not restoring funding to the police department. This is just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this. Talked about this, just a little while ago in regard to this is removing a position that's already there because all that it's occurring is the HR person that's involved with Parks and Rec, which has a huge amount of responsibilities and a lot of employees that they have to deal with new hires. We have part-time. They've got people that are working with youth. That's just moving them over to work in HR and better streamline it. Doing away with this position means doing away with the HR person that's associated with serving our Parks and Recreation Department. And we've already talked about not wanting to take away $300,000 for the sidewalk. So I'm not in favor of this because this is cutting that position away. And again, HR is it's one of the backbones of our entire city. Taking this away is going to hurt them overall and especially hurt our parks, which we've already taken a lot away from them as it is.
So this is eliminating a field position? Is that what we're doing? Okay. All right. Any other comment or question regarding this amendment? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
5 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. Councilman Lovato,
That's all I got.
all you got? All
I
right.
got.
Anybody else got an amendment? Councilman Chandler, you're recognized on your amendment. If you'll distribute it, and then I'll come to you for explanation and a motion. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized on your amendment.
All right, Mayor, thank you. This is a proposal to remove the extra sales tax that we give to the school system every year in the amount of $3,380,000. This will reduce our tax rate by 5 cents. And with that, I make a motion.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this amendment. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't necessarily disagree with this amendment. However, I have legal questions that I don't think that we have the capacity for tonight. So I would, this has come in front of finance several times and it keeps getting deferred. So I would rather see this run a different course so that we can have all the facts about the legalities of doing this. That's all I have.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
She hit her button faster than I did. I was going to make the same statement that this has been postponed in finance and there has been questions asked just to ensure how it needed to be handled. So I'm in full agreement with Ward 12 on this.
Councilman Chandler, on your amendment?
Well, okay, I'm sitting here hearing for 6 meetings, let's reduce, let's reduce, let's reduce. This brings our tax rate down to 96 cents. Is exactly what it does. And I hear across the hall, okay, well, it's been brought up time again, time again, time again. Instead of bringing it up time again, it's time for us to take action. We are asking the citizens of Clarksville that already pay $2.10 tax rate for their children to go to school. Because inside the city, other than the sheriff's department running the jail, we get no service out of that $2.10. This was a deal that was struck back in the 60s.
77.
77? Okay. In 1977, that was a whole different ballgame. And if you want to reduce the tax rate to keep your city citizens from paying more than that's double taxation. You're taking money that rightfully belongs to the city, that's been collected in the city in the city's name, that we turn over to the school system, and they've already paid. We're double taxing them. So 5-cent reduction brings us to 96 cents. That's a 4-cent increase. And that's all I've heard for the last 6 meetings. We need to reduce it. We need to reduce it. This is one axe, one thing that will clear it out. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
May I have a question for Ms. Wilcox, please?
Sure. What's the question?
Ms. Wilcox, is what we give to the Montgomery County school system, is this state regulated?
This part is not.
This
This
part is
part was voluntary when we originally put it in at 1977.
Okay, so how much do we give the state? And this is for the citizens to hear too. How much do we give to the school system yearly? What is our taxation?
I don't have that number right here in front of me.
I can
to
tell you what it is.
What
Okay.
is it?
$75 million. Counting this 3.3.
That's including the 3.3, $75 million.
Yes, ma'am.
We do that every year.
Well, by law, we are required to give half of our sales tax collected within the city limits to the school system. We don't begrudge that at all. This is just a deal that was cut in 1977, and it would get us out of that deal, and we would keep
The three.
estimated 3.3 million per year.
I like the idea of the 5-cent cut. That's a smart move. But I'm afraid to take the money out of the school system, but I know we were giving, I don't mind giving them the 3.5 million or somewhere like that. And I believe in, financing schools, and I believe that education is very good for our students, and for anybody. As I always say, education is power. And can we vote on this? Would this be against against the law? Is this okay for us to vote on?
It's an amendment. We can vote on it.
vote on it, and it's not gonna bother us with the state. All right,
No.
thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mayor, I'm not sure if this would be for you or Ms. Wilcox, but again, talking about, first let me say, I 100% understand where the sponsor is coming from on this. And you're absolutely right, city residents are paying twice, without a doubt. However, as was said in the Finance Committee, both times when this was brought forward, it was still being looked at to see if we could actually do this or not. And the most recent Finance Committee meeting, the question was even asked from committee member and councilperson for Ward 12. How exactly was this brought about? Was it brought about by referendum? Does it have to come back off by referendum? And there are questions that still need to be asked. So here's where my question is. Say we vote for this tonight and we reduce the tax rate by 5 cents to take this 3.38 out, and then we find out, wait, we can't do it, then what happens? So that's my question, either you or Ms. Wilcox, whichever one wants to take that one.
We want to
You didn't
flip a
ask that
coin?
question.
Okay. Ms. Wilcox?
If we reduce the tax rate and then we find out we do not get this money, we will have to make adjustments down in departments' budgets.
To the tune of $3.38 million.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
Look, I know this is a touchy subject when we talk about education, but we got to remember, like the councilman said that brought this forth, we're being double taxed on this. Not only are we double taxed on this, the county decides for us how we're going to spend our money, i.e. sidewalks. They expand the system out, now we got to pay for sidewalks. I mean, I don't see a problem with us reducing this. I got 5 vehicles. I got 2 motorcycles and 3 cars. I got to register every one of those. Where does that tax go? You know, is that not for the schools? So not only am I being taxed for county money that I don't get no benefit from, I'm being taxed on the other side every time I register a car. So I'm for this. I'm all for this. So that's all I got to say.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to propose an amendment to this. To the 3.3 million at one time is a big hit. And I understand, you know, we're giving a part of the sales tax revenue. We're not giving a part of the property tax. But that sales tax revenue that we do give them could help with this, with our property tax. So instead of it being a hit all at one time, I would like to see it step down over a couple of years to give them time to make adjustments that they need on the county side. So my amendment would be to reduce it by $1,352,000, which is 2 pennies.
Okay, state your amendment to this amendment one more time.
My amendment would be to change the 3.3 million to reduce it to $1,352,000. That would be 2 pennies reduction on the tax rate.
Okay, the motion's been made and properly seconded. Anything else before I go into questions? Councilman Brown?
That's all. Thank you.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized on the amendment to the amendment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to speak for just a second, not necessarily about this amendment and what it means and the numbers, but the process in which we are doing this. This has been proposed at the Finance Committee meeting. It has been given to the public twice now, and it has been deferred twice. We have told the public we are not going to vote on this until, I think it's deferred until August at this time.
Yes.
I don't like this because this is, all of a sudden, we have not had an opportunity to get input from our constituents, and they deserve a say on how they're spending their tax dollars. I may not agree with them, but we need to listen to them. So I do believe that we are removing their ability to have input, and I cannot think of a more modern day situation of taxation without representation than this right here and what we're trying to do with this amendment. That's all I have.
Councilman Clonch on the amendment to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with Councilman from Ward 12. I believe there's some legality issues with this as well, and I think that we consistently talk about communication and transparency. CMCSS needs to have a seat at the table while this discussion is happening. I had a conversation with a member that I do agree with Councilmember from Ward 9. It should be a tiered system. However, and I'm going to use your word, we need to have an abundance of caution with taking money that we potentially can't legally take based on ratification that was made in 1977.
I did share with the county mayor in March that the council, we would be likely considering this. And then shared with the school system and the county mayor that we would be moving forward. Of course, you all have to vote on it, so it's not like this is a surprise. Councilman Chandler, you recognized?
Well, like I said, you know, I'm looking out for the citizens of Clarksville. We're double taxed. Kind of funny that my fellow councilman from Ward 12 talked about it's coming up in August. The way these budget hearings are going, we'll probably be there at the same time. You know, I'm sorry, but take my neighborhood. There's probably 70 houses in my neighborhood. Maybe 4 have school children. It's an older neighborhood. Most everybody, I'd say 95% is retired. And I know when I first put this out, especially with my neighbor across the street, and he said, "Do what?" And he said, "Why? Why are we doing this?" And I told him, I said, "Well, that's just an agreement that went through." And when I told him the $70-something million that we have to give them by state law, I thought he was going to faint. You know, again, we've argued for 6 nights now about reducing the tax rate. I think that Councilman Brown's amendment, sure, we'll do it slow. Won't have a problem with that. But again, I'm just trying to get our budget passed and get it down and to where it belongs for our citizens. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Brown, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And that's what I'm trying to look at is to, you know, help them with absorbing this over time. You know, we talk about our citizens paying the extra where the residents in the city. So this comes off the sales tax collections. So it's not just the citizens of the city that are paying the sales tax. We have people come and visit us all the time that are paying sales tax that don't live in the city. But this part would help the residents of the city with reducing that tax rate on the residents that live inside the city. So, you know, we're collecting that tax revenue, giving them half and we have half, and that comes from people that live outside the city also. You know, they don't have as many opportunities, you know, businesses outside the city. They all come into town and spend money also, and that's sales tax revenue. So that's why I'm thinking, you know, if we can do this over a little bit of time, that gives them a little more time to absorb the hit. Thank you.
Any more comment or question about the amendment to the amendment? Councilman Smith, you're recognized on the amendment to the amendment.
Like Ms. Wilson said, this is voluntary money that we were giving to the school system. We are giving them plenty of money. I think it's a lot of money that we already have to give them. We pay sales taxes for our foods, whatever we buy, items, car taxes. So we give them some, well, almost half of it, over half of that money. And so it's not that we don't want to support the school system. I'm totally for supporting the school system, but I think this is voluntary money. And I think we really need to just go ahead and cut the 5 cents. You know, reduce the tax 5 cents. I mean, we're giving them a lot of money. It's not that we're not trying to help the school system. We just want to be fair about it. If we can cut these taxes, I believe the people or the citizens would rather see their property taxes cut than to keep on giving money voluntarily that we don't have to give. So I think we need to, hey, take this reduced tax rate, 5 cents. It's not like we're not trying to help them. We're giving them all that we got and all that we have to give. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding the amendment to the amendment? And again, the amendment is to reduce the voluntary part of the sales tax to 1,352,000. Is that right? Okay. Which would then have an effective on the tax rate of 2 cents. Are you ready to vote on the amendment to the amendment? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0
The
abstain.
amendment to the amendment is adopted. We're now on the amendment as amended. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. When we first set off on this journey last month, I said that I thought that 31 cents was probably too much all at once. And when we made cuts, that they should come from the top, not the most vulnerable in our community. And somehow we've landed on kids. I cannot wait to vote no on this amendment. Thank you.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Call for the question.
Question been called for. Do I hear a second? Properly seconded. Any objection to ceasing discussion on the amendment as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, so we're voting on the amendment as amended. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
That amendment is adopted. All right. Any further amendments? So we're now at, where are we? 99 cents on the property tax rate. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 98 as amended with a property tax rate of 99 cents? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Now, I'll remind you that we can't reconsider a second time our actions. So if it fails, we'll have to go to set a new date. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
I'll be honest, I was prepared to vote yes until this most recent amendment passed. This amendment is not right. This process that we just did, it's not right. We're cutting our schools without proper input from the public. I agree with it, but I don't agree with this process that we just did, and I cannot vote for this budget. I'm sorry.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
I would ask everybody to think about what was just said by the council person from Ward 12 and what was said by the mayor before that. This fails, we're done. We don't get another opportunity. So we have to start back over from first reading. I still go back on the, it was postponed twice in finance because we didn't know if it was legal. I appreciate that it was cut down to a smaller amount so that if we find out we can't do this just by us voting, then at least it's not going to be as much of a hit, but it's still going to be money that's got to be found in there somewhere. So think about it, whether or not this is actually going to pass tonight. And if it's not, and you are on the prevailing side of the last one, ask for a motion to reconsider so that we're not going through this failing yet again.
Mr. Bittner? I've been corrected by our city attorney. We can move to reconsider if there were substantial amendments to the ordinance, which there have been substantial amendments. So we would be able to reconsider our actions. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
All right, man, I'm gonna go on people's word. Burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on you. Well, whatever. Burn me twice, shame on me. Excuse me, it's a long night.
I understood what you meant. Go ahead.
I was on the prevailing side, I'd like to reconsider, my last motion about the school system reduction.
Motion been made and properly seconded to reconsider our action on the amendment for this additional sales tax. Any objection to reconsidering our motion on the additional sales tax? Okay, so we're going to reconsider that and bring that back to us. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Okay, 99 cents or $1, take your pick. But that's all I got to say. I tried to do right, and if I did wrong, I'm sorry, but my gut feeling is that I did the right thing, so.
Don't apologize.
What?
I said, don't apologize, you're good.
That's it, Mayor.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To the councilman from Ward 4, I just want to reiterate, I do not necessarily disagree with this, but I have to stick to my principles, and my principles tell me that this method is wrong. It's not that I disagree with the amendment. It's not that I disagree that we should remove this extra funding from the school, but it has to be done the right way. So I appreciate you reconsidering this, and I hope everyone votes no on it.
Okay, any other comment or question? We are voting again on the Chandler amendment as amended, which is to reduce the voluntary portion of the sales tax we're giving up. So, as soon as the clerk gets us on the board, we'll be voting on that amendment as amended. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
1 yes, 11 no, 1 abstain.
All right, that amendment fails. We're now on ordinance 98 as amended. So we're at $1. Any further comment or question regarding this ordinance? All right, we are now voting on ordinance 98, second reading as amended. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
The ordinance prevails, 7-6. Thank you, Lord. All right, we are now ready for public comment. We allow people, 3 people, 5 minutes each. Any member of the public wish to address the council? The purpose for which this special session of this Clarksville City Council having been accomplished, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned.